There is some massive changes happening now at Warner Bros. As well as the DC Cinematic Universe with a complete overhaul when it comes to the current leadership. They have a new CEO in charge of Warner Bros. Studios, and they also decided to establish a completely new studio called DC Studios that will be in charge of pushing out future superhero content, and the person that will be leading that part of the cinematic universe is going to be James Gunn. But we are also now getting a little bit more insight in terms of what it was like working for the older leadership, as it just seems like they were lacking a lot of direction, and I don't think that that comes as much of a shock to anyone. Now, a person that has been very vocal about some of the previous decisions that has been made is Dwayne Johnson, who plays Black Adam, and he's been a big critic about how the previous studio heads has managed or mismanaged Henry Cavill and Superman. Dwayne Johnson in a recent interview slammed the previous leadership of Warner Bros., calling their decision to exclude Superman and Henry Cavill from projects as absolutely inexcusable. Now, I think most fans of Superman would agree that the character haven't exactly been treated the best. Since 2017's Justice League, we haven't seen anything from Henry Cavill or Superman. He has been making a few appearances here and there, most of them faceless. Yes, we did also have the director's cut of Justice League come out, but the character's future just seemed to have been extremely uncertain, and in many parts it still is very uncertain. Now, when it was first announced that they would be bringing out the Black Adam movie and that Dwayne Johnson would be taking the lead, pretty much from the beginning Johnson was calling for Henry Cavill Superman to be part of the project, and for many years fans remained at least somewhat hopeful that there would be a crossover, and although we did get a small cameo, for the most part fans were still left at least somewhat disappointed over the lack of Superman's appearance in the movie. Now, the treatment when it comes to the Superman character and Henry Cavill specifically doesn't come as much of a shock to me. For some reason, Warner Bros. Has always favored Batman over Superman, and the previous leadership even made it very clear that they were planning on using Batman to take the franchise forward instead of Superman. Those were comments that was made on numerous occasions, and it was also very clear based on the way that they were pushing Batman over Superman. I don't know why that is, but there's just always been a much bigger focus on Batman, and that might just be because Batman does a lot better at the box office. We did get obviously the original Superman movies, but since then there's been a massive focus in the early 90s and early 2000s for Batman, and then they also obviously had the trilogy that I think began in 2005 that was heavily successful, so I do understand why they want to double down on the Batman movies, but Superman just always felt like a massive missed opportunity. Now, when Henry Cavill originally agreed to be Superman, he signed on for 3 movies, and we did get to see him appear in 3 movies, but people were still disappointed over the fact that there weren't more standalone opportunities like what we got to see with Batman. Henry Cavill did have his 3 appearances, starting off with the Man of Steel. He then did Batman vs Superman, and then he got the Justice League. Since then there has been rumors of a recasting, but even that didn't happen. While Batman did get their recasting, Superman never did. Now, the good news to come out of all of this is the fact that Henry Cavill Superman is all but assured to come back. Although there has been no official deal signed yet, most people believe that it is pretty much a done deal anyways. Now, Dwayne Johnson for his part has been very clear in terms of what he wants to see for Black Adam, and also what he wants to see for the DC Cinematic Universe going forward. And when it comes to his role specifically, the hardcore comic book fans, we got the love, we got your love, we got the loyalty, and I appreciate that to the bone. But for the rest of the world, they had no idea who Black Adam was, and we were establishing the brand. And something else that we were establishing is 2 things. If we were gonna establish Black Adam as the most powerful unstoppable force in the DC universe, we gotta bring back the most powerful unstoppable force of all time in any universe. And that obviously there he is referring to Superman, which once again goes back to how he is trying to bring Superman into the universe and is fighting for the character character to actually have a spot. He said, and you guys know who I am talking about, of course, I'm talking about Superman, and that is Henry Cavill. And at the end of the day, the studio wasn't bringing Henry Cavill back, inexplicably and inexcusably. But we weren't going to take no for an answer. This has been years in the making regarding bringing Henry Cavill back, and years of strategic conversation, and we are not going to take no for an answer. Now, as you can see, there is obviously extremely insistent that the two characters need to go hand in hand. He personally believes that there is no Black Adam without Superman and no Superman without Black Adam. The two needs to coexist in the same universe, and that is why he's so insistent on bringing Superman back, but even more specifically bringing Henry Cavill's Superman back. He said specifically when it comes to Henry Cavill, there is no other Superman, by the way, to bring back. Henry Cavill is our generation Superman, and in my opinion, the greatest Superman. And I mean that respectfully to other actors, especially Christopher Reeves, but the greatest Superman of all time. And again, bringing Henry back, now we are building our DC universe properly, strategically and smartly. Again, the hierarchy of power in the DC universe has changed, and of course we have new leadership at Disney and Warner Bros. Again, the hierarchy of power in the DC universe has changed, so it is a new era for the DC universe. Now, he seems to be very enthusiastic about the new leadership and what they will be doing with the Superman character. I'm also at least a little bit hopeful now that it seems all but certain that Henry Cavill will most likely be returning in the role. There definitely seems to be an all new hope for the character, and hopefully they won't screw it up and we will see a lot more of Henry Cavill and Superman in the DC cinematic universe going forward. In my opinion, they should be building the DC cinematic universe around Superman and not around Batman. Although I think that Batman is a great character, it has always been about Superman, and I do hope that he will play a much bigger part going forward.